Hello, my Panda pals, and welcome back to another recap. Today, we're going to be covering what happened on the season premiere of The Other Way. I'm super excited for this one because it's going to be a bunch of new couples that we've never seen before, which is great for me because I'm not going to feel like I'm missing out on seasons of history with them. I will most likely be breaking up this show into 2 parts as well because each episode is pretty long. So with that said, why don't we get started on part 1? Sit down, buckle up, and let's go for a ride. Say hello to James and Meitalia. We got James. He is a 33-year-old elevator mechanic from Maine. And I guess being an elevator tech is one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs in the world, which I did not Google it and verify that. So this is from James's own mouth. So take it with a grain of salt, but I believe it.
My father had an elevator run over 2 of his fingers and chop them off, and he had to go to the hospital and have them sewn back on. But it's a great job. I love working with my family.
Yikes. If a finger gets sliced off and then sewn back on, does it even work anymore? Or at that point, is it just for aesthetic purposes? James is a big outdoor kid. He loves exploring the woods and doing things like mining for gems.
I mine tourmaline, garnet. You can even find fossils. You feel like a modern-day Indiana Jones. You never know what you're gonna find.
I could never. I hate the outdoors. I am 100% an indoor baby. He calls out into the distance and finds his wife, Meitalia, which is an awesome name. If anyone has ever watched Sailor Moon, do you remember the Negaverse? That was Queen Meitalia. That is an awesome name to have. Anyway, she's 27 and from Indonesia.
Oh, you finding something up there?
I don't know. I think this is like smoky cord, but you see?
Let me take a look at that. Let me take a look at this.
Okay, that is the cutest interaction ever. You gotta love someone who takes an active interest in their partner's hobbies, even if it may not be their thing. And if you think it couldn't get any cuter, you'd be wrong, because they call out for Jojo, who is the absolute cutest.
Hey, buddy, come here, little man. Come here. What journey have you been on? Oh, where did you go?
The two met on social media because James was a photographer at the time and Meitalia was an actress and a model.
You DM me, I feel like he don't have any camera at all because he just say, hey there. But when I see his pictures, like, he can hug stuff.
They start talking and eventually they video call every day, and Meitalia liked that he seemed really genuine and she felt like he didn't have anything to hide from her, which is great because she knows that she is a very jealous person.
You ever cheat on me? I will take your
Why are you laughing?
Because it's so scary and I get so nervous.
Oh my God, I was not expecting that. Holy crap. Meitalia goes on to tell us that she is one hell of an emotional roller coaster. She is hot, then she's cold, she's yes, then she's no, she's in, then she's out, she's up, and she's down.
I can be 1 to 1,000. For me, everything is so emotional. I cry a lot.
Okay. You don't think that you should maybe talk to somebody about that? Anytime someone says, I cry a lot, it reminds me of this time when I was an undergrad. I did not have a roommate because she went to study abroad, and this girl was going around trying to find a roommate that she meshed with. So she knocks on my door, introduces herself. She's like, I'm so-and-so, I'm an art major, I love to dance, I love dogs, and I cry every day, like all the time. And I'm like, that is something you should keep to yourself. And I shut the door in her face and I never saw her again. Don't introduce yourself as someone who cries every day. That's weird.
It is so cold and this is really sucks. That's why I miss Indonesia.
I can't even argue with that on this. This is some pretty terrible weather.
Meitalia tells us that in Indonesian culture, the women generally follow the men, which is why she came to America. But she has been here for 2 years and she absolutely hates it. And she loves her husband to death, but she can't be in Maine anymore.
Being here in Maine is really hard. I've been lonely, and since I got here, I have so many health issues.
But her health has been steadily declining in the States, and it's really important for them to get that back on track because they both want to have kids one day. So the two have decided to move back to Indonesia for the sake of her health.
I do support Meitalia's decision to move, but I have something I need to tell Tata, and there's no predicting how she will respond to news like this.
They have not told his family about the move yet, and Meitalia is leaving in like a week. Meitalia tells him that she wants to let them know so that they don't think she's stealing him away from them, and she doesn't want them to hate her.
I don't want them to blame me for everything.
But if we tell them sooner and they just want me to stop working, do you have a plan if we don't have enough money?
This made me a little confused because James works for his family. If he tells his family that he's moving to Indonesia to be with his wife, why would they take his job away from him? James does say that leaving his family business is going to shift a lot more burden onto his family, and they are going to be let down that he is doing this to them. Which I get. Like, oh man, if you want to talk familial obligations, children of immigrant parents are gonna know that song and dance very well. But I do hope his family understands this is his wife and he is a grown-ass adult.
Well, we had a plan to wait. Why would we change it?
You always make decision before you confirm to me and then tell me after this is the decision.
Meitalia pleads with him to see it from her perspective. She's afraid that his family is going to keep him from leaving.
I'm afraid that if I go first and then you tell your family, they just gonna hold you and then you not go.
I can understand why James is struggling to tell his family, but he really needs to tell them. It's already so late in the game, and he's planning on moving in a month or two, forever. Like, your family needs to know. If anything, your family needs time to hire somebody and then train them for the job that you are leaving behind. Meitalia is back home making jewelry, which she does to make money on the side, and her best friend in the States, Adele, comes over and hangs out. Meitalia does confess to Adele about her plans to move back to Indonesia, and she is shocked because it's happening tomorrow.
Me and James moving back to Indonesia tomorrow.
Tomorrow? I do wish that Tata told me sooner.
I would be super bummed if my friend invited me over and then told me they were leaving forever in 24 hours. That would suck so hard. The two get to talking about kids, and Adele does mention that James has said he's afraid to have kids, which is news for Meitalia.
He never told me that. When he said that to you?
Like a couple months ago.
Meitalia tells us that she knows James. When he says he's scared of the potential of having kids, that means that he just does not want them.
I just feel hurt James not have that conversation with me.
Ooh, you have got to be curious what other secrets that man is hiding. Meitalia's getting ready to fly out, and she is stressed about what Adele revealed yesterday about James not wanting kids. But she is choosing to keep it in until James comes out to Indonesia and they can work it out together. James hands her a letter and tells her not to open it until she's on the plane. And then they hug and they cry.
There's a couple things I gotta bring up that I don't really want to, but I know I have to, and I need you to know about them before you leave.
James then breaks the news to her that their dog cannot come with them for a lot longer than originally anticipated. So I guess at the time there was a big rabies outbreak in Indonesia. So if you wanted to import a dog over, you had to do a bunch of testing, blood work, get all of these permits, a lot of work. So I'm just assuming that he could not get all of like the testing and obtain all the permits in time to bring him over.
I thought you was coming with us. You just tell me right now? When I'm about to leaving? Are you out of your mind or what?
Meitalia is obviously super upset and she starts to cry. I do think she's more crying because he did not tell her until the day she was leaving, which honestly, such a dick move. James has got to grow a freaking backbone. He's also doing the same thing to his family by not telling them that he's leaving them forever until probably the day before he goes. He says he doesn't want to be the bearer of bad news and cause them pain, but by not telling them until the last minute, he's actually making it so much worse. He's not giving the person receiving the news any time to absorb, process, and adjust.
Why are you telling that? This is my baby.
James tries to console her by saying that they both love JoJo so much, but he didn't tell her until now because he was afraid she wouldn't get on the plane if she knew. Okay, that is fine to think that way, but you still have to tell her and then deal with it together. You guys are married. You can't just hide shit and force her into the decisions that you have decided for her. Meitalia is also clearly used to this behavior because she did call him out for this exact thing earlier in the episode. And I'm sorry, but there is no dick that is good enough that could get me to forgive you for doing what James did to Meitalia. I would thank you next your ass so hard.
It definitely tears me apart to see Tata falling apart like this.
It should. You are the reason why this hurts so bad. It could have been so much less painful if you told her when you found out. Then she could have gone through the process of like grieving that her dog wouldn't be with her for a lot longer than she anticipated. But now she has to do all that processing in the next couple of hours. You colossal douchebag. Let's welcome back Sarper and Shekinah. I'm gonna start this off by saying that I do not know a lot about Sarper and Shekinah. I saw Sarper's like 10-minute guest spot on the tell-all for The Single Life, and that was more than enough time for me to know who he was and know what his whole shtick was about, and I absolutely hate him. I don't know if I'm gonna cover them moving forward because honestly, he kind of makes me want to rip out my uterus and light it on fire. So, we'll see. Shekinah is 41, she is an LA girl bonded with her alpha wolf pack daddy, Sarper. The two are video chatting some roleplay.
You are my secretary, right? I'm the boss. What is that?
This is to tickle your balls.
Ow! My is like Statue of Liberty right now.
And then her laptop runs out of batteries, so he's gonna have to tug his tiger all on his own. Sad day for Sarper. They go into how they met, which I don't super care about, and honestly, all of you probably already know, but just in case, for some of you who don't, here are the cliff notes. She went on vacation to Turkey, met Sarper, fell in love, she goes back home, she moves to Turkey later, and they have a bunch of problems like her not wanting to sleep in the bed that has taken literally thousands of women to Pound Town.
You need a new bed, and I'm not gonna sleep there until you get a new one.
Do you want to change my too?
They end up having money issues because Shekinah cannot work in Turkey, so she moves back to the US to work where she's been for the last 3 months. And now she's planning on going back to Turkey in a few weeks' time because their relationship is struggling due to the long distance.
I need consistency, I need loyalty, and he needs to prove that I'm not being a fool for trusting him.
Sarper tells us that this has been the longest time he's gone without seeing Shekinah, and he's starting to grow maniacally anxious.
When I'm anxious, I count everything. I count rice grains on the plate. 7 cars, 17 people.
Oh, this explains why he knows exactly how many women he slept with and why he was diligently counting them. Sarper's niece comes in and they hang out and they have a great time.
So many people. They just see my muscles, but you know icebergs, they have a part here above the water and something big under the water.
I do think it's funny that Sarper chose to go with the iceberg analogy because that one almost always carries a negative connotation. It's supposed to be like, oh, you only see the tip, you never see the colossal amount of problems beneath the surface. But obviously he is more wanting to be like Shrek with his onion. His sister and her husband pop in and Sarper tells them that Shekinah is planning on moving to Turkey and that flying her back and forth was getting to be way too expensive. He confides in her that he has very little in his savings because of Shekinah.
Kız öğrenci çalıştırmamı...
Sadece erkeklerle mi çalışıyorsun?
Ne alakaydı ya?
Dokunmanı istemiyorum diyor.
Sarper tells us that before Shekinah, he was doing very well financially, but she demanded that he only work with male clients.
And 90% of my clients are female.
So his income was absolutely decimated.
Bayağı klasik kıskanç.
I understand that Shekinah has trust issues, but I changed so much for her, but she still wants more.
Sarper says that when Shekinah gets back to Turkey, they're going to have a talk and set some boundaries. Back in LA, Shekinah meets up with her best friends to get their dogs groomed.
They're so excited for their baths.
Adonis? Who's this new friend you brought
Adonis brought his friend Stella.
Stella.
So this is Stella.
I love your pearls.
I wonder how much it costs to groom your puppers here because this place looks fancy and my dog took like $70 every time she went to get groomed and it was like 30% as nice as this place. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I just looked it up. It starts at $130 for a groom. Those are some pampered pooches. Her friends ask her where the F she's been because they have not seen her on the LA scene. She tells them that it was kind of a deal between her and Sarper. She asked Sarper not to train female clients, and in return, he asked her not to attend these LA events.
Hearing that she's been sitting at home doing nothing.
That's not like her.
Oh my God,
not like her at all.
That is not like her at all.
She says that Sarper tends to spiral when she's not with him, and her friends are like, okay, that seems a little red flag-ish. And then they ask her why Sarper doesn't just come to the US.
You know how I never have really wanted to get married, but I feel like I could take that step with him. So we applied for the K-1 visa,
Her friends are very skeptical about their relationship, but they do keep on listening as she explains that the approval process can take forever. So in the meantime, she's gonna go to Turkey so that they can be together ASAP.
He doesn't handle being apart well. And I don't either, but I don't like try to
Nobody
break up.
does.
Well, that's not, I understand
That's
being
not a
apart,
reason
but
to get
yeah.
married.
Or threaten to break up.
Her friends say that this makes no sense. If the distance was not an issue, then marriage absolutely would not be on the table for her. They ask her what she plans on doing in Turkey, and she says, I don't know, eat, work out, have tons of sexy time.
One of the things I'm doing is I'm getting my nose done. Sarper has actually designed a new nose for me.
What?
Shekinah.
She tells them that she is letting Sarper tell the doctor what to do to her face, and she's okay with whatever he does because she absolutely trusts him.
This is your face. You can change an outfit. You can change your hair color easily.
Agreed.
The middle of your face, you can't change that easily.
And that, my Panda Pals, is all I have for you today. I'm honestly super excited for this season so far, except obviously Shekinah and Sarper, because whenever they talk, it feels like I have to process their words in my brain, but my brain is covered in molasses, you know? So far, I do not like James. I think he needs to grow a backbone. I think that he keeps painting himself as the good guy, but he's actually the villain. Anyway, what do you guys think about the couple so far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you guys are not subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing and joining this awesome panda party. A huge shout out to all of my channel members. You guys are so amazing. Thank you so much for your support. If any of you guys would like to show additional support by becoming channel members, the link will be in the description below. I hope to see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for not letting me ride this train wreck alone. Bye. Can you imagine if someone came up to you and you were out with your dad and they were like, "Oh, are you guys dating?" I would jump off a
happened to
building.
me.
Shut up.
Yeah, I was at the car dealership with my father, okay, looking at cars.
I don't think that counts.
And this guy came up and he was like, "Is this your girlfriend?" And I was like, "Ew, he's my dad." Ew. It was so gross.
I feel like when you go to a car dealership and their whole point is to just like charm you into spending more money so that they get a bigger commission, I don't think you have to take everything they say with a grain of salt.
God, I freaking hope they were joking. I was so grossed out. I was like, "This is my dad. Ew. Don't ever say that to me ever again."
That reminds me of when I was young, my mom took us to go buy like an oriental rug, and the guy was off, they run off of commission. So I was like 13, and you know what I look like at 13. I look like a gorilla child with a unibrow. I did not bathe. I was gross. And he was like, "Oh, your daughter is so beautiful. She's so pretty."
First of all, why is he calling a 13-year-old child beautiful?
Well, because, he's trying to like compliment
That's weird.
my mom into buying a rug, right? Because you're like charming her and lying to her.
If a guy said that to me about my daughter, I'd be like, "Get your freaking filthy hands away from me and my daughter."
Yes, super gross. But the best part was she's like, "Oh, you think my daughter is pretty?" He's like, "Yeah." And I love this. She's like, "Then can I have a pretty daughter discount?"
Wait, what'd you say? Can I get a pretty deal?
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, you're so funny." Girl, that was the funniest shit I witnessed in such a long time.
Oh my God, that's really
Like,
funny.
She just knew. I loved it.